Good afternoon from not so sunny Belmar, New Jersey today. We're down here at the beach. I call it 97.7257 or whatever number you want to call it, but we got a channel going here. I haven't done much of this, but I think I got something you're gonna like. If you're a drummer, okay, or want to be drummer or whatever, want to do something at home because, well, quite frankly, a lot of us are stuck at home. Personally, I like being here behind my set of drums. So today, we're going to look back in time and see how we can take something that was very important in its day and reapply it in ways that weren't intended at the time. It will also enable you to play quietly in small places, which could be important for some people. Electric drums, of course they do, but they require drumsticks. These are called brushes. Now, everyone probably knows what they are, but they require a special technique, a special mindset to make the music sound like music and to make it groove. In the old days, first off, always keep the brushes closed, because what happens when you leave them open, when you bend these, they're ruined and they're really hard to straighten out. So I always keep them closed. Open your brushes. There's two different ways, of course, to hold the drumsticks. The old days, and you will apply it also with the traditional grip and the regular grip, which I guess would be the matched grip, they call it now. And the traditional grip, of course, is like this. And of course, we know the reason why. Because back in the day when they were marching, the drums were angled on an angle. Okay, we know that. We know that story, okay? Trying to use these in a new sense will require like grooves per se. I have drummers that I look at that use these things that make them sound really good. And you'll not use them exactly how you use drumsticks. Let's put it that way. One of the first things I want to go at is your typical groove. If you were doing your typical groove, let's say your heartbeat groove, we'll use the matched grip because most people are doing that. So I don't think you can see my kick too easy, but you should be able to hear it and soft. Puff. Like to get that nice little puff. You can accent it. You can lay off it. Toe, heel toe. There's different ways to go about it. The hi-hat. Splash. Step. Splash. Step. Basic stuff, okay? But basic stuff adds up to be a lot of stuff. Okay, so the simpler the better. Remember, you're playing for the singer. Never step on the singer. Okay, so the drums sort of fit in between the spaces. Kind of like the silly string that holds the thing together. And there's ways to do that and make it flow. We want to make it always flow. The bass drum wants to make people dance. Time. I can't emphasize time. It becomes eternal inside. It's always there. It's always there. It's always there. And that's the main thing. If you depend on the drums for time, you won't get it right. So, practice quarter notes, counting, the metronome, all the ways they tell you. This is not a beginner's class, by the way. So the beginner's classes work with the metronome, okay? We're kind of taking this to the next level, all right? So here's the next level. The old groove, or not old groove, but a regular groove, let's say that a guy by the initials SG would do for just about anything that a guy by the initials EC would have him do, because this drummer plays with everybody, but EC, you know, he plays with him a lot. And he plays the blues, and he plays jazz, he plays everything. And he uses these a lot, especially when EC does his acoustic blues stuff. So we'll break this down like to the blues to show you how nice these work in that situation right off the bat. So your typical blues pattern with drumsticks would go like this. That would be your typical blues pattern, and that would go through the different parts of the song. And when I say the parts of the song, you feel the song, you change the texture. So you would go to the cymbal, typically with drumsticks. Now, you'll notice one thing. It's a little thin because they're brushes. Only last night, my baby, she wasn't home. I came up, where did she go? Not bad, but this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of the white noise, I call it. Of course, the cymbals are the white noise. I got a lot of those all around here. But we're going to use those more for color. We're going to go with the groove. Really try to get deep into the groove. And that means we're going to go right back to when they didn't have a drum set and they just had a snare drum, and then they came up with the bass drum. And somebody came up with the low hat that turned into the hi-hat, and the rest is history. They're making the low hat again, by the way. All right, I don't want to make this lesson too long, so let's get stuff that you can work on, and then we'll come back after you work on it, take it to the next step. So we want to pay attention to the snare drum. Now, the old days, the old snare deal was, of course, the... And there was a lot of that swishing thing going on, blah, 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 blah. Cool and everything. To play some blues, like just right in the pocket, you'll just play the regular groove, but use the snare drum kind of thinking that it's part of the hi-hat, and then use the hi-hat to kind of color the sections, okay? So a singer can really sing without the drums getting in the way, okay? Everybody will hire you because they want the drummer that ain't getting in the way. Okay, so here we go. Now it's light, and you can do the light thing. There you can go, the cymbal. Tighter. Sometimes you can push brushes right into the drum. Sometimes I'll switch up, do a splash, and then a step. You know, really like simple stuff that really makes it sound kind of cool, you know, and then you can put it in different places. So, it gets syncopated. Remember, everything we're trying to accomplish is syncopated in one way or the other. May seem really stale and straight, but that's the whole idea, is to get that 3/2 feeling. You know, they talk about that. That's kind of like where Western rhythms met the European, you know, the history. Okay, so that being said, the blues, it's a wonderful thing. So it's like now you can go, my mama, she loves me. Don't matter what I do. My mama, go right there to the low tom just for a little, like, you can kind of flam it a little with the kick drum. And remember, you can always hold the beat back just a little. And then when you get that deep, like, dig, they didn't do that in the old days with the jazz. It was always really low. Now we're going to tighten it up. We're going to tighten it up for the music, which is more since like the 60s, let's say. Okay, so why is Charlie Watts so great? Why, well, CW. Why is our S so great? Okay, I don't know if I'm supposed to use their names or not, okay? Like, I want to make sure this gets up. They're great because they know how to fit the instrument in between. Oh, that's another cool thing. Watch this. This is cool. I like to use this for like a little cymbal crash. Like, you don't have a cymbal crash, but check it out. My mom told me not to play with little girls. Turn it around and use the metal for a nice little cymbal crash. Have maybe some rivets, whatever. Something to like sustain the sound, like over here, a little what have you. And then of course, you still have different sounds. So if you wanted to do like a funky beat, you know, it's like, this is a cool thing. This is the shine. So then once again, if you bring it back to the cool, make it your basis is the snare drum, the kick, and the hi-hat together, okay? So you can get that funky thing going here. Very simple, very simplified. But it'll fit. It'll fit somewhere in there. And like, you can get it tight, you can keep it loose, whatever it may be. And then of course you can go to all drums, do all kinds of cool stuff, whatever. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to stick to the real basics, okay? In an advanced setting in your mind, okay? Play the song in your mind, or play along with some great musicians. It's a really good way to practice after you use the metronome if you have to. Never follow the drummer. Act like he's not there. Okay? Follow the band. Not follow the band. Lead the band. Okay? And you can do that. Okay? remember, we want to have the right technique. I could show you all that, but you should know it by now. And you could either side. Well, I guess that'll be the end of our first lesson. We will go back and discover some other things. We'll use some drumsticks. We'll do some cool different grooves. Maybe next time we'll just work on a groove. But I want you to just think how you can reapply the brushes. People will love you for it. Guitarists, keyboard players, they will love you if you learn how to use the brushes. It takes a little work to get it right. It's really cool when you get that, you can actually hear the air. It's in there. And you can go fast with it if you want to do all that fancy stuff, you know, they do like all kids do, like, hey, when it comes down to it, you're the silly string. And you play a part in a band. It's not about you. It's about the total sum of the parts. And that will get you somewhere, at least to your practice room, which is really fun. I don't know how far it's going to get you today and tomorrow and the next day, but at least you got some time to work on it. With that, this is Bart. I've been doing this for a few years, and I'll come back if you like me. And want to see a couple of more tricks. I mean, we can really break it down. I can like go back right to the kick drum, anything you want. So, like, do it. Just play the blues. Use the snare drum as your foundation. Leave a note out. I like doing that. I especially like coming in after with the kick. And there we have it. On to the next one. Thank you for like your time. If you spent 18 minutes and 31 seconds, I doubt it, but if you saw any of it, it's all here. It ain't going anywhere. You can refer to it, get back to it. I'll call it the basics of advanced drumming, and we'll leave it at that. So with that, I'm out.